What is going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good Tuesday. I'm going to be talking through this NBA Cup slate. Reminder: we've got just these little games, the two games tonight for the quarterfinals, the other two for the quarterfinals, and then we have the semis, and then we have the finals. So people have time off. Treat these a little bit more like playoff games is the way that I tend to approach it. I don't tend to want to get too involved with bench pieces that might not be heat checks or somebody who could make a difference off the bench. I ran some things. I changed some of the numbers to reflect a little bit more where Goldie and where I felt the projection should be. Not much though, just small changes. And then I did click the average button for the ownership because I don't think we're going to have. We have these Q tags. I don't think we're going to have people sitting for what it's worth. So that's the way I'm treating it anyway. I think Sheed, Quickly, and Towns all end up playing there probably. I mean, they're all in Vegas right now anyway. Anyway, so just going through each team here. I'm getting a ton of Bam. I actually like Bam, but I feel like this might be like maybe a little bit aggressive to go this high on him and this much lower on Hero. They're it's in general they're going to average out to a fairly similar number. Bam will be a little bit higher, but we know Hero's got a massive ceiling and also a very low floor. So maybe one thing I was considering was maybe trying to get a little bit more of the Hero. I like long shot play and Kalel Ware, but I'm having a hard time clicking that button with the price tier. And he is one of those guys who could be a heat check guy off the bench who's actually like makes a difference, and they end up leaving him in, maybe sacrificing a few of Wiggins or Powell's minutes, probably Wiggins, potentially Bam if he gets in foul trouble as well. So I'd like to maybe get to a little bit of Kalel Ware as a long shot play, or Hawkes is a little tougher for me to get to. But I do think that Kalel Ware is a little bit interesting as a long shot play. It's hard to find long shot plays on this kind of a slate. Like, these guys are going to play all out. They're not going to rest anybody unless it's like a 30-point game. They have nothing else to wait for. So just worth noting. I don't love Wendell Carter as much as the projections seem to love him, and I actually have the lower projection Sabersim has. Goldie's is way up there. I actually might even bring this down a little bit. I think it's fine as a, look, he's affordable. I still think I'm probably bringing this number down just to 27 because I do think it's I don't want to have more than half my lineups with Wendell Carter tonight. I actually like Batatse as a pivot. Now, I didn't get much of him in my first run, and I'm going to tighten up this minimum salary. I already tightened it up a little bit, but let's make it 47.5. Just because I do want to. I don't think we're going to have the blowout type of things like I mentioned as much in play, and I do think you're going to get more minutes. I also think that it's really like we're just not getting. I mean, we have Paolo on a minutes restriction. What does that mean? Could it mean it's up to 28? Can he get there? Sure. I'm kind of content just to sort of leave it and get what I get. Going to be really hard not to play one of the De Silva. I do think that Batatse is the other value piece you could take a shot with and just hope Carter gets in foul trouble, which happens, or that they're more effective with Batatse. We've seen that before plenty of times. So I'd like to make sure to get a little bit more of Batatse and maybe a little bit below the field on Wendell Carter, and I'm actually going to do that. Just trying to find little ways to maybe get a little bit different on this slate, and it's tough to find them. Really hard to argue against with no Franz, Jalen Suggs, and Bain. If Paolo was cheaper, obviously we'd be playing him. But I really like the. I'm gonna have a hard time not getting to both those guys. I'm also gonna have a hard time not getting to Anthony Black. De Silva is just gonna play the minutes, so we've kind of got to just he's 4K. That's why we're getting there. But it's not the most exciting of slates. But what it is it's a good prep for the playoffs, because this is the kind of stuff we have to deal with in the playoffs quite often. I like Towns, actually, given the choice. I think I like Towns better than Brunson tonight, and I think I'm going to make sure that's reflected. I actually would like a little bit more of Towns than I'm currently getting. I'm just going to do this for right now. We'll make sure we have at least somewhere near the number. I also like OG, and we've seen Bridges be very good in these spots. I sort of went near Goldie's projection. I think this is a reasonable spot to take a shot with Bridges, but they've got a lot of guys active. I think this is a little bit hot on the projection for Jordan Clarkson. I'm going to go down a little bit on that projection, but I do think there's upside for him. I don't want to ignore him, so I'm just going to make sure I have a little bit of him no matter what, but I don't think it's this like automatic play that maybe some other people, I don't even think automatic, but I don't know if I want necessarily the full 36%. I'll let Late Swap take care of some of this. The other pivot off of the chalk here, and it's not exactly like the right matchup for it, but Mitchell Robinson has a ceiling that's big enough. He's another cheap piece that we can talk ourselves into a little bit. I'm content to be over the field on Mitch Rob just to take some shots. So I'm going to give him, just at least have the minimum of him. I do. SaberSim's already got him as a little bit of a higher projection than they do the other way. Let's see. Did we get any new news that just led to that? I don't see any new news, but maybe some updates with the projections. Just going to take a quick look, and nothing outlandish. Doesn't look like. All of these look pretty good. I think you could argue that Bane could actually have a higher projection, but I don't think you need to go out of your way to do anything with it right now. I assume we're going to get all these guys in officially very, very soon. All right, so let's move on. We'll talk about Toronto. All right. Scotty Barnes, I'm just sort of leaving it there. I dropped Brandon Ingram. SaberSim had him up around 30, almost 39. I just dropped it a little bit, reflected a little closer to Goldies. Sheed is another one of the value pieces. Now, I think the idea of getting to one of these value pieces, we talked about them with De Silva, Sheed, Mitch Rob and Goga as long shot ones. I think those are all very reasonable. I also would be remiss to not point out that the one thing is Mamu has an extremely wide range of outcomes, but we know if he gets hot, and even if he doesn't get hot, he can do a lot while he's out there. He can get rebounds. He's pretty active. It's really the minutes are sort of in flux constantly for him. He's the kind of guy I'd like to be over the field at, and it's not going to take that much to do. I think when I rerun again, we're going to end up with even more of him. If he was a little cheaper, it might make it a little bit easier, but still, I think he's pretty interesting. Jacoby Walter, who's been starting, but again, the minutes tend to usually go more Sheed's way. And we've seen Jacoby Walter, literally, he put up 1 fantasy point in his last game. These are the kind of things you think about on these funky slates. I'd be sort of content to at least have a little bit of it, and the same with Grady Dick, because I think that you can get the heat check from Grady Dick, or if the unit's running really well with Walter, maybe we get less Sheed. I'm not going to put a big number, but I would like to have a little bit of exposure. I don't want to tweak a ton of things and mess with things too much, but that's sort of where I'm at. I'm going to rebuild and see where we're at. Ask any questions or stuff you got in there. Hey, what's up, man? Good to see you in here touring. Yeah, any questions or thoughts, let me know. But I'm going to run it and waiting for starting lineups, but that's basically it. And then officially news report. But this is not like the typical everyday news. These guys are in Vegas. It's a totally separate thing. The NBA Cup, they get it's a $500,000 bonus if you were on the winning team. Doesn't sound like it might matter to some guys who are making a ton of money. $500,000 is a lot of money in cash. And you had players making $30 million last year talking about how it really mattered to them because it's an extra incentive, and it's like the all eyes on you situation where it really is like your show. That there's nothing else going on. There's no other sports. We have no football, obviously Tuesday and Wednesday. We have nothing else really. Hockey is the only thing, but I don't think there's all that many people, at least not in America, watching that much of the hockey. So let's see where we end up after making a few of those little tweaks. And again, small tweaks is sort of the way I like to go here. The thing I thought about doing initially to start the day was literally just fading Wendell Carter and seeing what else came to me. It's hard to do, but we'll see. I think I'm going to get less of them than I did before. Let's see. We might be a little bit more spread out than we were before. I think we're going to end up a lot higher on Desmond Bane, and we'll see where it ends up right here. And then, of course, I'll hand build my big buy-ins. Main pieces are going to be these Orlando guys with no Franz. It's really hard to argue against that. Let's see where it ends up. I think it's going to be, 93% Suggs, 81% Black. Can't really argue with it. I'm well over the field on the BAM play now. Are we getting any of these sub 10 percenters very much? See, we are getting the Mamu a little bit. I forced in the 11, but also the projection is a little higher on SaberSim. I just like the idea of taking that shot. You know what I mean? I also feel that way a little bit with Batatse, who could literally outscore Wendell Carter, and then you're just getting very different in the field. But I'm not, it's really hard to find the sub 10 percenters on a slate like today. So, it's tricky. Oops. What does SaberSim have Josh Hart at? I'm just curious. 34 seems low. We'll leave it at 35, but I don't think we're going to end up with all that much of it. So this is where we're at for now. I'm going to save this just so I have placeholder things that it makes sense. Just always save again because sometimes it updates, and we are going to load it. But yeah, it's really hard to get away from the Orlando. I I do think that, in my hand builds, I'm going to try to find a way around the Wendell Carter. And I think it might be as easy as just taking a shot with Batatse or Mitch Rob. Where did we end up with Mitch Rob? 14%. Okay. That sounds pretty good to me. And also, like, again, late swap will take care of a lot of this stuff for us. So that's sort of where I'm at right now. Obviously, not a whole lot to talk through with this slate because it's only 2 games. But I do appreciate you guys tuning in. I will update my exposures as we get the starting lineups in and everything's a little bit closer to being done. And yeah, I appreciate everybody. Give us a like, a thumbs up. Let's make some money tonight. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be in our premium Discord. Happy to answer anything. Good luck. Good luck.